Hey, welcome back everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday season. So, I am returning to my Marvel movie retrospective with Spider-Man Homecoming. And I really like this movie. It's not my favorite of the Spider-Man movies, but it's good, it's solid, and I like the villain a lot. But before we go ahead and get into the review, be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to help support the channel, you can buy me a coffee with the link in the description below. Alright, so let's get into my review of Spider-Man Homecoming. So the movie opens up with Adrian Toomes and his cleaning crew, salvage crew, after the events of the first Avengers movie, which I think is pretty cool that we're seeing kind of like the aftermath of what happened. And he has the city rights to salvage all of the alien technology and stuff. But then Damage Control comes in and says they are going to take over from now on. And that was created by Tony Stark. So Toomes decides then to illegally salvage the material. And that's kind of what makes him into the Vulture. You know, vultures are scavengers. He's scavenging. So I think it's a pretty good origin. I think it's a pretty good way to kind of modernize this version of the Vulture character, making him this kind of tech salvaging guy. So I really like the character of the Vulture, and I think Michael Keaton does a great job in the role. And then the opening credits that we get is kind of cool because it has a subtle theme of the original Spider-Man song, you know, the Spider-Man, Spider-Man. So I think that's kind of a cool thing. And then we open with Peter and Happy takes Peter to the events that we see in Civil War, and we see Peter get his first, or the Spider-Man suit that Tony gives him that we see in Civil War, and he's like videotaping everything, and he's just so excited, talking about fighting Captain America, and it just really reminds you that, like, yeah, this guy's like an excited teenager, and he is just a kid. But it's a really kind of fun, kind of like behind the scenes version of how Spider-Man got to where he was in Civil War, because he just popped up in Civil War. We also see Peter making his own webbing in class, which I think is pretty cool because we're told he makes his own. My only thing is, if the webbing is that impressive that Tony Stark is like impressed by it, then like how smart is Peter, and like what is the science behind him making the webbing, and like why can't Tony just make that webbing and it like just, you know, solves everything? I don't know. So I like that he makes it, but I wish we had a little bit more explanation behind it, because like in the Andrew Garfield movie, we see that he actually just took it from like Oscorp or something and then was able to manipulate it from there. But Peter's just like making it in like chemistry class, like that's just like common, like safe chemicals for children to use. So I'm not sure the science behind it fully. But we do get a montage of Peter as Spider-Man kind of helping out the community. And it's kind of a funny little montage how he just wants to be helpful and this lady's buying him a churro. So I really like that. And like throughout the whole movie, Happy is like his go-to man. And he's always calling Happy and stuff. And so I do like how we incorporated Happy into this movie as well. And then also there's like these Captain America like PSA videos playing at school, which I thought were kind of fun. And he's in the Captain America suit that he wore in the first Avengers movie that Coulson designed. And so I like to think that like after the Battle of New York, like the government just hired Cap to do like all these public service announcements and stuff, and like kids have been watching these videos for like years now in high school or something. So I just think that's kind of a little cool, like in-world way to reference Captain America's presence in the world. So I think that was pretty fun. And then sort of the catalyst of this all is Peter, while he's doing his community Spider-Man thing, finds these high-tech weapons being used on the ATM. And then he sort of tracks that down to the Shocker, who was selling them to Aaron Davis, who's actually Miles Morales' uncle in the comics. And that's kind of how Peter gets involved in this sort of illegal high-tech weaponry thing. And I think it's a really good organic way to pit Peter against the Vulture. And then also the reveal of the Vulture being Liz's father at the end is another great way to make a personal connection to Peter. And I really love that reveal. Like, I remember in the theater when Michael Keaton opens that door, I was like, holy crap. I mean, it's great. At first you think like maybe like the Vulture was like one step ahead of Peter. He was already there. But you realize, no, he's just her dad. And I wish they would have like maybe played with that a little bit more, have Peter like be a little bit more conflicted about whether or not he should take out his date's father. But I still think it works really well in the conflict, and I love the threatening speech that Michael Keaton gives to Peter in the car too. I just think the Vulture is a really good villain because of that personal connection, but also because we understand his motives. That, you know, he was screwed over by the government, so now he thinks he has the right to screw the government over, which I think is something that a lot of people feel. We just usually don't take action on it because it's illegal, but you still kind of sort of sympathize with him a little bit in that retrospective. Like, he does accidentally kill the first Shocker, but he didn't mean to. So he's not like a truly villainous guy, but you still know why Peter has to, you know, take him out, but you understand why the Vulture's doing everything he's doing. And so I think that makes him a really, and also Michael Keaton's performance is great. So I think that just makes him a really fun villain for this movie. And then I also like the relationship between Peter and Tony in this movie. Tony is trying to do better with Peter than Howard Stark did with Tony, which sort of continues Tony's arc that he's had through all these movies about dealing with the issues that he's had about his relationship with his father, and that he wants to do better. And I think that kid that we had in Iron Man 3 kind of sets up Tony's relationship with Peter here, which is then going to set up Tony having his own kid in Endgame. And so I really like this continuation. It's really a good character arc for Tony throughout the whole MCU, and you just kind of get little bits of it in these movies outside of the main Iron Man movies. So I really like Peter's relationship here. I like the speech that he gives to Peter when he says, you know, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it, which is kind of a reminder of when Tony didn't have his suit in Iron Man 3. He, you know, in Tennessee, he was still taking out the extremist guys, and he went into the Mandarin's compound without the suit, and, you know, he had to prove that he is the hero even without the suit, and that's a lesson that Peter still needs to learn. So I really kind of like the sort of reflection that the two of them have, where Peter really looks up to him and he says, you know, I want to be just like you, and Tony says, I want you to be better. So I really like that. And then, of course, in the end, Peter has to learn to find the strength within himself. When the Vulture brings the rubble upon Peter and he thinks he's stuck, he has to find the inner strength to get himself out of it. And that's how he proves to himself that he's still a worthy hero as Spider-Man, even though he doesn't have the high-tech suit. Because Spider-Man is an awesome hero. He doesn't need this high-tech suit. It just kind of aids him. But I do like that Peter kind of starts to learn the lesson that, yeah, he's just a kid, but, you know, he has a long way to go. He doesn't have the experience that the other heroes have, and he's trying to rush himself into being the Avengers. So it's sort of a subtle character arc for Peter. You know, he is still a kid, and, you know, he just can't, you know, just quick fix everything and be the superhero that he thinks he wants to be. He needs more time, he needs more experience, and I think that's sort of what Tony wants him to learn. And so I do like the choice that he makes at the end, where he turns down being the Avenger, because he realizes that he still is a kid, he still wants to be a kid or a teenager, and that he needs more time to learn how to be a good superhero. And I think that's something that is really the whole Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy. That's a lesson that he's learning throughout the whole trilogy that he has. But we get a little bit of that progression at the end of here. We also get a glimpse of the new Avengers compound. We saw that at the end of Age of Ultron, they moved into the Avengers compound. And throughout this whole movie, Happy keeps saying that Tony sold the building and they have to move. And so we get to see the new compound that they move into, the one that's going to get destroyed in Avengers Endgame. And so there are a lot of Easter eggs in here. Like Happy mentions a new prototype for Cap's shield and everything, and some of which these pay off in Infinity War and Endgame. But I still don't know if we know who actually bought the old Stark building, the old Avengers Tower, or not. I think that's something we're still waiting to be paid off. If they did say it and you know the answer, let me know in the comments. But I don't remember them revealing who bought it. I know there's a lot of fan theories out there of maybe it's Oscorp, maybe it's the Baxter Building, whatever. But I don't know that we know for sure. But there are some cool little Easter eggs like that throughout here. So overall, I really like Spider-Man Homecoming. I like Tom Holland in the role as Spider-Man. And I actually like the supporting cast as well. I didn't really talk much about them. But Ned's a great best friend for Peter. We don't get a whole lot of MJ in this, but we'll see her in the other movies. Liv is kind of an interesting love choice for Peter in this movie. Really kind of feels like that high school crush type of thing going on. I think Marissa Tomei makes a great Aunt May in this. And so I really like the supporting cast, and even the other cast of school characters are pretty fun too. So it's got a great cast. I think this movie's a lot of fun. I think it has a really good villain. There's some good action scenes in this. The ferry scene with the boat was really cool, and the Washington Monument scene is also really cool. And I do like the costume design for the Vulture too. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's a lot of fun. So I really enjoy this movie. It's not my favorite of the Spider-Man movies. It might be my favorite of the Tom Holland trilogy, though. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's it. That's my review for Spider-Man Homecoming. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you love it? Is it your favorite? Or is it your favorite of the Tom Holland movies? So let me know what you guys think. And until next time, activate Instant Kill. Bye.